We canceled the meeting with President Putin. It didn't feel right to me. It didn't feel like we were going to get to the place we have to get, so I canceled it. But we'll do it in the future.
De budapesti békecsúcs az a napirenden van. Hát emlékezzünk, hogy jött létre a közel-keleti békecsúcs. Én szombaton este kaptam egy levelet, hogy akkor hétfőn. Tehát az ilyen tárgyalások azok jól beazonosítható kérdéseken függnek. Van 3-4 ügy, amiben nem tudtak megegyezni az amerikaiak meg az oroszok, de folyamatosan tárgyalnak, és bármikor megegyezhetnek. És ha megegyeznek, akkor nagyon gyorsan tető alá lehet hozni egy ilyen béke tanácskozást. Úgyhogy Magyarországon mi egy ilyen, hogy kell ezt mondani, egy ilyen stand-by állapotban vagyunk. Van egy előkészítő munkacsoportunk, az dolgozik, helyszín, biztosítás, rengeteg technikai kérdés adódik. Tehát Magyarországon dolgozik a béke csúcsot előkészítő munkacsoport. Európának nem az orosz-amerikai tárgyalásokra kellene készen állnia, hanem meggyőződésem szerint tárgyalásokat kellene kezdeményezni az oroszokkal.
Euroclear has all kinds of assets that have turned into cash. The cash is deposited at the ECB. You have windfall profits that are used to pay the G7 loan, and then you have tax money in Belgium on these windfall profits that is used for the bilateral aid to Ukraine. That's the chicken and the golden eggs. The eggs are given to Ukraine. The chicken is sitting at the ECB, but it is the chicken of Euroclear which represents the claim that Russia has on its sovereign assets. If you take the chicken and you start eating it by giving loans to Ukraine, saying you can start and eat the chicken, then you're in a different situation. Legally, you're in a totally different situation. Can this be legal? This is a very good question. It's a very good question. There are no clear answers. If you ask lawyers, they usually present you also with a big bill. You have to pay them an enormous amount of money, and then they give you a text that you don't understand. And then you get a second opinion of another lawyer that you even have to pay more and that you don't understand as well. And is it possible? Is it not possible? There's no clarity on that. In Japan, they have decided not possible. Central bank money is immune. We're not going to touch it. There's a certain logic to this. Even during the Second World War, this did not happen. Immobilized money is immune. It's like an embassy. You don't touch it. You don't use it. So it's a first. We're in uncharted waters. Is it legal? Is it not legal? That's the very first question. What is the legal basis to do this? It is unclear. It's a matter that needs to be solved. Before we can go forward on this, I think everybody would sleep better if we would know that the legality of it is underpinned. We will, in any case, be buried in litigation. That seems like a certainty. I don't think that Russia will take this in a nice way. I heard a Belgian journalist on television say, "Oh, I have the impression that for Putin this money is already written off." I do not have that impression. This is not exactly what we hear from Moscow. Moscow has told us that if we touch the money, we would feel the consequences until eternity, which seems to be a long time, eternity. So they will do countermeasures. That seems to be very logical. That can take the form of counter-confiscations of Western money frozen in banks in Russia, confiscation of Western-owned companies, European companies, Russian courts making decisions on confiscations, and maybe making these decisions also valid in other jurisdictions that are friendly to Russia. Russia also has allies. And if Russian courts start saying we're going to seize European assets, can take all kinds of forms of assets.
Miten kommentoitte tätä mahdollista Putinin ja Trumpin ja ehkä Zelenskinkin tapaamista, jos se järjestetään tosiaan Unkarissa Euroopan maaperällä, niin millaisen viestin se lähettää ja miten huolissaan tästä tapaamisesta pitäisi olla?
No, katsotaan nyt, missä tapaaminen pidetään ja missä muodossa, mutta on tietenkin selvää, että EU-alueella niin tällaisen sotarikollisen kuin Putinin ei pitäisi olla tervetullut.
We can combine these two things. One, the efforts of President Trump, diplomatic efforts to achieve the ceasefire and to achieve the peace. On the other hand, we have to hold the principles of Europe that we all agreed. And the only place for Putin in Europe, that's in Hague, in front of the tribunal, not in any of our capitals. And this is very clear.
Clean tech markets around the world are booming. The global market for batteries is expected to double in size over the next 5 years. The global market for wind turbines continues to rise by over 10% every year. And in developing economies across Asia, Africa and Latin America, last year the sales of electric cars have risen by 60%. This is not just good news for the climate. The rise in clean tech in Europe is also good news for our energy security, and it is a great economic opportunity. And there is a reason why China is so massively investing in electric vehicles, batteries, and clean tech. Of course, they see the economic opportunity and they see what the future markets will be. There is a reason why in the Middle East, which is actually the global home of fossil fuels, renewables increased 5-fold in the last 5 years. The Middle East is dominant today on the energy market, and they tell me they want to be dominant on the energy markets in the future. And there is a reason why the Global South is choosing clean energy, because they want to get rid of choking dependencies and bring in energy that is not just clean, but homegrown and for them affordable. So the question for us is whether we want to reap the benefits of this global clean tech boom or just let others profit from it. I have not the slightest doubt about the answer. Europe is a global leader in clean innovation. Let me give you some figures. We have, for instance, 40% of all wind technology companies worldwide are here in the European Union. We have a very skilled workforce, and we have a long tradition of industrial primacy. Last year, Europe's clean tech exports have reached 80 billion euros. This means they have almost tripled in just 6 years. But others are not sleeping. China exports almost twice as much clean tech as we do. And the risk pushing our industry out of the strategic markets, including our own. We cannot afford to fall into new and dangerous dependencies. And in the recent years, we have all witnessed what happens when a single country gains control over the supply of a critical product or technology. At any moment, those dependencies can be turned into instruments of pressure. Export restrictions can be imposed overnight. Supply routes can be disrupted. And factories here in Europe can be forced to slow down or even shut down. So I think we should be very clear and very vigilant. Europe must control the technologies that will shape our future, the manufacturing that underpins our prosperity, and the critical raw materials.
Global warming is pushing our planet to the brink. Every one of the last 10 years has been the hottest in history. Ocean heat is breaking records while decimating ecosystems. And no country is safe from fires, floods, storms, and heat waves. As always, the poorest and most vulnerable countries pay the highest price, particularly small island developing states and the least developed countries. But as the climate crisis accelerates, so too are the solutions to help communities adapt. Early warning systems, the focus of your meeting today, are a prime example. Early warnings are not an abstraction. They give farmers the power to protect their crops and livelihood and livestock, enable families to evacuate safely, and protect entire communities from devastation. We know that disaster-related mortality is at least 6 times lower in countries with good early warning systems in place. And just 24 hours notice before an hazardous event can reduce damage by up to 30%. Early warnings work.